Hey everyone, this is Leanne Carmi, and welcome to another OV All-Stars Jumpstart webinar. We're in Module 5 this week, and today we're talking about how to set up on the ad network. And this is essential, and I know that, it might seem to some of you like, yeah, so what, setting up on the ad network. But we're going to show you some things that you might not have realized. We're going to talk about some of the ad networks that we prefer, and we're going to tell you why. And here's what I want for you to get out of this. I've noticed in my time online that people keep from taking action because they're afraid, because they're unfamiliar, because they haven't seen something. And so today, as you're watching this webinar, okay, whether you're here live with us now or whether you are watching the recording, I want you to set an intention for yourself. And this intention can go something like this. I'm going to watch this webinar. I'm going to see what setting up on the ad network looks like, and then I'm going to try it myself. And I'm going to show you when I set up that it's very simple. You can always delete if you mess up, if you don't like what it is, and you can practice. And yeah, it might seem silly to practice, but as you do it, you're going to see that there's really nothing to it. It's just a matter of taking what we've already taught you how to do and how to gather and putting it together. And this is where the fun starts, because after this class, after today's class, you're going to start getting some data and you're going to start being able to optimize a bit. And next time we're actually going to go even further and show you how to track using other systems. And so this is essential. I want you to pay lots of attention. I want you to ask lots of questions if you have them. Again, if you're on live, ask them in the GoToWebinar panel. If you're watching the recording, ask in this thread that this is going to be posted on. And let this webinar help you move forward and take a step towards the success of your business. Take a step forward by taking the initial action that needs to happen for you to make money with this, which is you have to put yourself out there and advertise. You have to get started. So what are we talking about today? We're going to give you, as I mentioned, some ad network recommendations. We're going to show you how to set up. We're going to focus on PPV, but we're going to talk about some other types of ad networks. We're going to talk about mobile, and then we're going to answer any questions that you have. So today, our main instructor is Steve Lowry, and you've seen him in the other webinars. He is absolutely amazing. This guy I learned something from him every single day, and I know this webinar is going to be amazing. So without further ado, Steve, let's get started.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. You made me blush. It doesn't happen often. So yeah, I think one of the things you said, and we've talked about it a lot, is action. And hopefully after watching today, you just become a little more familiar with things. A lot of people don't take action because they're scared of not knowing how to do something, and nobody knows how to do something until you do it, and that's what you have to take to heart. So I want to talk first and foremost about PPV networks. I only use 2 or 3 networks personally because I've had great success with them, and that's just a personal preference. I like the platforms, and I'm just comfortable with them. So I use Tr4ff1c, which I have open right here on the screen, and I also use Lead Impact. I'm using a couple accounts today that I actually haven't used in a while, but I have several of these accounts for one reason or another. So with that being said, the reason I like Tr4ff1c is, number one, there's a barrier to entry. You have to know somebody, and you have to spend $1,000 just to get in. You have to basically say, okay, here's $1,000. I'm going to buy this amount of traffic from you guys, and it's committed marketers. You don't have a lot of newer people. You don't have a lot of it just cuts down the amount of people that are going to be pushing traffic and bidding against me. So the competition's better because it's better marketers, but it's just I have more traffic available to me. That's one of the main reasons why I love it, and that's I think why they do what they do. On top of that, they have what seems to me like the best quality traffic. I've always had the best success with Tr4ff1c. Lead Impact is also good. Lead Impact has done better for me with like survey type site offers, games, stuff like that. But Tr4ff1c I can do well with pretty much anything I've tried. So that's that's what we're going to start with today. So I'd like to just basically get into it, and let's start with a new campaign. It's pretty easy. We click on new campaign. We get this page up. Today we're just going to put test, just because we're doing a test. You can name the campaign anything you want. It doesn't have any bearing on what's going to happen. It's simply for you. It's whenever you log in, you know what that campaign's called, so that's what you name it. Your description can be, once again, anything you want.
Just a quick interjection here, and some people are very organized with names, and some people aren't. And I wasn't really looking at your campaign name, Steve, earlier on the main screen, but one recommendation I'll make is if you're doing this, you're new, you're testing out a bunch of offers, you can organize things by what you're testing in terms of the name, because that's what you're going to see. So if you're testing a particular niche, you can put the niche name there. If you're testing a particular network's offer and you want to know, well, I'm comparing, an offer from one network to another in different campaigns, you can do that. Just organize it for what you need to see, so that when you're looking at the screen, maybe a week later, and you've had a lot going on, you can tell pretty quickly what you're looking at.
Yeah, that's good advice right there, because, and especially I'm getting ready to start a pretty big campaign with PPV this week, and there are going to be several campaigns within a campaign. So, because what I do is I'll start my main campaign, which will load up, and then I'll take all the working campaigns, put them into their own, elaborate on those, and those are all their own. So you have to name it something so it's part of one campaign. It just, whatever it takes to keep you organized is what you need to do, bottom line. There's no right or wrong. It's all about staying organized. So with that being said, that is pretty important, Leanne. You're right, 100%, because if you're unorganized, you're done out of the gate. So let's move down to daily budget. We have basic, we have advanced. Basic is basically just going to be, I want to spend $100 on all days, right? That's pretty easy. So then I click next, and that's what it's going to do. Monday through Sunday, I'm going to spend $100. Advanced lets me say, okay, well, I know that Sundays are slow, so I'm going to spend $25 here. Mondays are big. Let's say I'm going to do $150 here. Tuesdays, same. Wednesdays, not as good. Thursdays are okay. Friday's the biggest day. Saturday, terrible, right? So I can set up a budget on each day based on, my knowledge of that traffic source. Now, I'm going to recommend this now. If you don't know, then do not use advanced. Don't just guess. That's not for guessing. This is something for later on when you have data to go off of, where you can say, okay, the past month when I've been pushing traffic, these are the days that have done best. And later on in the next screen or two, I'm going to be able to show you something else that's pretty cool, how for day parting. So for this, though, we're just going to do basic just for the sake of doing this, this little demo here. So we click through, it takes us to the guts. All right. Now, here's your creative name, and this is kind of what Leanne was saying. So I have my campaign, my main campaign. Now, here are all the creatives. So if I have 2 creatives built or 4 creatives built, then I'm going to go creative 1, or I can go creative 2, or I can go creative 1.1. Like, that's how I do things, because if it's creative 1 and I have 2 versions of creative 1, then I'll go 1.1 and 1.2. But to each their own, that's how my mind works. That's how it works best. So once you name your creative there, you're going to go down to the category. You have to set the category, and it's actually important for your traffic that you set the category properly. So for this, let's just do finance. We'll just for fun. We're not going to put a real. Actually, let's do a real URL. We can go to. Let's go pull up one of my accounts. All right, so let's pull up a link. We'll pull up a credit report link just to show you how to put links in, because I want to show you there's a couple things that are important. No. All right, so we'll pull up a Think Credit Reports. Think Credit Reports is actually probably the best credit report to use for PPV, by the way. There's a little nugget. It just tends to do the best. So here's our creative. Now, keep in mind, I don't direct link. This is just to show you how to put a creative in. You're going to want to use tracking, and we're going to get into that next week. But just for the sake of putting a creative in here, if I can get this to highlight. Just for the sake of putting a creative in here, I want to actually have something to show you. All right, so got that. We copied it over. Now it says end S1. Well, that's if I want to put a sub ID. So like today's date, 9/26. I'll put 9/26. And then down here it says this URL is your landing page example. And see how it has KW equals keyword? That's very important. Put a little end symbol here. Now, what this does is this is going to say, okay, this link was clicked. The sub ID is 9/26, so I know that 9/26 was the day I sent this traffic. The keyword is going to be whatever the placement link or keyword that you bid on, that's what's going to populate right there. So I know that if somebody clicked on, say I bid on the keyword credit, if somebody clicked on that keyword and came to my landing page, it's going to pop up credit right there in my stats. So that way I know, okay, this guy used credit and then he bought. So, or this, we had 100 people click on the credit keyword on 9/26, 10 of them bought. So that's a good one, right? This is what gives you that data. This is what gives you the information. It passes it from TrafficVance to your tracking or to your affiliate network. So this is crucial. You have to have this in here. And this is simply, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Steve. I just, go ahead and finish that, and then I have a question for you about the categories.
Okay, so this is basically, the keyword is basically, it's different with everyone. Like lead impact, you actually just click a box, and I'll show you that when we go through there. So it's different for everyone. You're not going to have to memorize all these different things, but just know when you see this right here, just simply copy this. Actually, you copy the and right there, paste it in. There's your link. What were we going to say, Leanne?
So regarding the categories, I've always wondered about that, and here's why. Because later, I know we're going to pick targets. We're going to have a list of URL targets that we're targeting. What is the purpose of the category? Is that to block your creative on sites that don't want that particular category?
No, it's not going to block it. As far as I know, it's not going to block it. But when I've talked to future ads reps, and that's who owns TrafficVance, when I talk to them, what they've told me is simply it just kind of gives them an idea of the area that you're trying to go to for the traffic. I don't think it has anything to do with anything, but I've always been told just choose the right category. It doesn't hurt. So not the greatest answer in the world, but that's what they've told me. So I stick with it.
Okay. The only thing I can think of other than blocking is I know in the past I've contacted them and said, well, can you send me a list of your top traffic sites in this category? And then they'll have something, but they don't pick those for you. So that's why I just kind of thought it's a little useless. But I'm sure
I've always been told just go with what just choose it and move on. It doesn't take any time, so on and so forth. And that's probably what they're trained to say. But yeah, it's never hurt me. I mean, I tend to make money on PPV. So, okay, so we got our link in there. We have our region, United States. That's pretty much what TrafficVance does. Matching options, flip it. That's up to you. I never use it. But I also don't ever use keywords. I use target URLs. And that's just a perfect personal marketing preference. What Flip It does though, so if and you can read it right here. So if you put Ford Miami or as a keyword, it's just going to say, okay, well, Ford Miami and Miami Ford are the same thing. So we're going to flip it for you, and match both keywords. It's a way for them to get more traffic and money out of your pocket. So creative type, display or text link. Those are your two options. I always do display. I always do pop-ups. Text link is simply, if you're ever reading a news article or a story and you see highlighted words that are underlined, then A, you have something on your computer you don't want, which is this adware. Or B, but this is what goes to people. That's what the text link does. And when they hover over that text link, then a little mini ad pops up, and then it's like you're creative. That's what this landing page right here. And then if they click on it, they go straight to your page. So that's one way is text link. The other way, display, is just simply the pop-up. So I tend to do this, but seriously, as a marketer, the only way to really learn this stuff is to split test. You got to try it out. I've been told that, text links really work well for certain niche, products. I just haven't had a need to use it yet. I might try it out though here with this next campaign. So, here's the text link title. Basically, when they hover over, you can put whatever title, description, here's your URL, all that good stuff. So let's stick with display for now, though. All right, budget. Now, this is kind of redundant, right? Because we've already clicked budget once, but this is saying total budget, right, for this creative. So don't confuse that. This is a creative we're creating under this new campaign, right? So this creative is within a campaign, and they're saying, okay, well, you have a $100 budget on the campaign. How much of that do you want right here? Well, I'm going to say $50 because I have 2 landing pages. So I'm going to put 50 into this one and 50 into the other one, right? Day parting and day budgeting. Or I'm sorry, I skipped down. There you go. Max daily visitors is simply, okay, if I bid, 50,000 people and I'm bidding at, 10 cents a pop, then I'm going to go over my budget, right? So I just want to make sure that this number equals out to over this number, which it definitely will. So that's a good number right there. And, sometimes I'll bump this up to like 200,000. And it gives me right there like an estimated cost if that's what I'm spending. So, all right, so frequency cap, 1 person for every 24 hours. That's pretty self-explanatory. 1 person will see your ad every 24 hours. So if they go back to the site, they're not going to see your ad again. That's kind of redundant. If they didn't click on it the first time, why would they click on it again? If they did click on it the first time, same thing. Why would they click on it again? It doesn't make sense. You just want to show them once. You have, your 4 seconds to get them. You didn't get them. Oh, well, try and move on to the next one. It's a numbers game. Start date today. Sometimes, you can plan a campaign out. Like tomorrow's Friday. I might not want to start something until Monday, so I'm going to set it up today. It does take, 4 to 6 hours sometimes or even longer to get approved. So I'll say I'm going to start this on the 30th, right? It's pretty simple, guys. If you want to start it right away, you put today's date. If you want to start it at a later date, this is where you put it. If you want to put an end date to it, then you do that. I tend to watch my campaigns like crazy, so I don't ever have to do that. I stop it when I know I need to stop it, or I scale it when I need to scale it. Day parting and day budgeting. This is kind of what I was referring to earlier with your budget. This is really cool. So day party and your daily budget. If I click on advanced here, you see all these little green boxes? So like when I ran a fantasy football campaign, Sundays were huge for me, right? So I click on Sundays, but Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern time is when all the fantasy football games started. So the leagues were done after 1 o'clock. So I didn't want to have to go in every day at 1 o'clock. So I would go in, so to keep in mind this PST, 10 a.m., and I would just say, okay, you're not there. All right, at 10 a.m. and on, I don't need this right here because no one's going to basically be signing up for these because they're done, right? So that's a good way of setting it up out of the gate where you're saying, okay, I don't need to remind myself anything. At 1 o'clock, my campaign goes off on this day because this is what I've set up, or you can start it at, 3 in the morning, start right here at 3 a.m. Pacific time. So if you want to do a campaign from 6 to 12 one day, this is how you would do it. And then over here, Sundays were my best day, so I could set my budget right here, right? And I can set it up to be whatever I wanted it to be. Mondays are terrible, right? I don't even want to push on Mondays. Tuesdays, let's just do later parts of the day. So we'll take off all these. Anyway, you get the idea. So you can go through each day, each hour, set a budget, whatever you want it to be. And this is really cool when you kind of get later, further into a campaign and you can start analyzing your data and you start to notice trends. And when you pick up on a trend and you can, schedule like this, it just peace of mind. It just saves you so much energy and effort not to have to go in, turn it off, turn it on. This is awesome. I promise you guys will like this eventually. So after this, we just basically say, okay, we know we can't do adult advertisements, can't do casinos, yada, yada, yada. I agree. Next. All right. Here's the nuts and the bolts of your campaign, right? So we've added our creative. Now we have to add our targets. So we can do it one of 2 ways. I always have my targets ready before I set up my campaign. Some people a lot of people will use what the sites give them, right? So let's just say I want to put in a keyword, credit. Let's see what they say. That's a big keyword, so it's going to take some time. All right. So here's one of the cool things about using their tool. You can do a keyword search on credit, but then it tells you how much activity each keyword's going to have, right? So it's kind of like when you go into Google AdWords and you do, your Google searches, you can see a lot of numbers based on that. Well, now within TrafficVance's traffic, database, I can say, okay, I know exactly how much traffic each of these are going to have, right? Pretty cool. And it gets even better actually once you select these. So you can do all sorts of things. You can put Walmart.com and search, right? And it'll give you Walmart.ca.com. It'll give you Walmart. It'll give you, everything you can think of, and you want to know how people get these lists that are so big. Well, they simply go, boop, add. And that's pretty easy, right? So that's how, that's one way of searching for keywords, for tools. Like I said before, I don't really use keywords for my campaigns. I feel like targeting is very important and keywords tend to be very broad, and I'd rather my money make me more money than what keywords usually allow. So, so for this, I've got this campaign that I'm getting ready to start. So we'll just take these. Copy them over. And we click next. And we'll click next again. Okay, so now we got all of our targets in. And here it shows me, since I did a kind of a blind, offline, online, well, not offline, but I did my creative or my keyword research outside of TrafficVance. So now I'm going to go in and say, okay, that has activity, cool. That has activity, cool. Doesn't really have a rank yet, right? But if you keep going down, we keep going down, keep going down. And this just doesn't mean there's not traffic. So I'm still going to run these. Chances of it there being traffic aren't very good, but I'm still going to run them. But if I go down here, boom, now I'm starting to get to the nuts. All right, these are going to hit, right? There's definitely traffic for these. 5 cents is a low bid, so I need to go, or 1 cent in the low bid. So I'm going to go in here and go, 0.075, right? And then I'm going to go in here. Now I could also go in and just say, I could go up to the top. Sorry for my slow scrolling. And I can say, increase bids by 10%, increase selected, right? So I could select all these, or I could just select a few. Probably shouldn't have added so many creatives. So I can select all of these right here, right? I'm going to take all my good ones. I'm going to check them. And this is generally what I do anyway. Go back up. All right. My bid, I want it to be 0.10. I want it to be 10 cents. Okay. So I'm going to go right there. I can click that, and that's going to change them all to 10 cents. Or I can say increase bids by 10%. And I can go increase selected, right? Because I've only selected some. So there's a lot of ways. Just play with it, guys. Just play with it. You're going to see what it does. I'm telling you how it works for me, what I do, but this is, keep in mind, this is what I do. Doesn't have to be what you do. Hopefully this just gives you kind of a broad explanation of how to do this. So integrate your own tactics as we do this. So I'll click on bid selected. And it's changed, right? So that's good, right? BestBuyJobs.com, that's a medium, that's all good. When I see low, I know I need to bid higher, right? And now it's still saying low, which is kind of crazy. I'll play with that later. So after I'm done with all this, I click next. And then it gives me, hey, let's review this, all right? This is what you named your campaign, Steve. This is when we created it. Here's your creative 1.1. We're going to do this with display. Here's your category, your link, yada, yada. Here's your budget. And here's all your targets. Okay. That last page I was on, you're going to spend some time on there because bidding is key. You got to bid right. So just keep that in mind. Your initial bid out of the gate, just spend some time on that. All right, finish and save. Boom. Right here, I go to test. I can click on it. Creative is waiting approval. I don't want that. So I'm going to, I don't want to do that actually. So I'm going to pause this. And then I'll delete it later. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, guys. Traffic Advance is, it's easily the best PPV network out there in my mind. But a lot of people have different reasons for, and different ideas for different things. Some PPV networks will work better for other things. I've heard that, lead impact. Let's sign back in here. I've heard that lead impact is good for a whole bunch of other things I haven't tried, like dating. And, there's just all sorts of things. So try things out, test things. You can't be scared. Like we said at the beginning of this call, you can't be scared. Being scared is just going to stop you from doing it. Let me log in. All right, let's go over lead impact real quick, just so you can see the difference. I would say, when you're just starting out, test both Traffic Advance and lead impact, or start off with one, move into the other. Just don't overwhelm yourself. Keep everything within your, what you can do, and then just, as you become more comfortable, you'll be able to do more. So let's create a new campaign right here. All right, we're gonna name this test 1. Set the budget at, let's say, 200. And this is going to be a lot quicker, guys. Lead impact is very, very quick and easy. All right, name your landing page. So this is my landing page within there. So I'm going to go 1.1 because this is the first version of my first landing page. So I have 4 variations overall, 2 landing pages and 2 variations of each. All right, here's my link. Oops. All right, my link's in there. I always do a sub ID of the date. That's just a personal preference. Product category, same thing here, right? We're going to do financial because it's a credit offer. Credit reports. Boom. All right, now remember the equal key or keyword on Traffic Advance. Well, all we have to do now is click this box with lead impact, and it goes right through. It tells you right here. It just basically, this is how you're going to track everything. If you have this clicked, it's perfect. All right. So let's go down here. We're going to target. Now with lead impact, you could also target different countries, which I think is actually kind of cool. I know with Traffic Advance you can too, but you have to get approval. So for certain countries. So we'll say United States and we'll say Canada.
No, Steve, I'm kind of curious. I have a quick question about that previous screen. I don't know if I guess you've moved forward already. Yep. But
I can go back.
In terms of the tracking, because depending on the CPA network that you're using, they're going to have a different variable for sub ID. Right. Like some might say sub ID, some might say C, some might C1 or whatever, or you might be using your own tracking, and so. I'm a little confused or I guess ignorant about how they do the keyword pass-through if you actually don't have that variable in your link.
When you click this box, it automatically puts that variable in for you. You don't see it. It just sends it puts it in there for you so you see it. So it passes through. On Traffic Advance, that's why you saw us put the variable in.
Right.
So this is just like a built-in, I don't know if it's a...
Right. But here's my question is, what is the variable that it passes? Understandably, after the variable, it's going to have whatever unique variable to Traffic Advance collects the keyword and sends it on through. But how are they sending it? In other words, if I'm using, one ad network versus another, they have different protocols for where that variable goes in and where you can see it. And same with different trackers. Like if you're using tracking 202, you're going to have C1, C2, right. C3.
I would think, Leanne, that like right here, I just highlighted this for the reason of just kind of this helps answer your question. It says where keyword is a keyword or URL that launched your ad, please do not add this parameter because it is automatically appended, and be sure that this parameter does not prevent your URL from loading properly. So, and I've had this happen before where people would put and, target equals or keyword equals keyword or, you know, whatever they think they're supposed to do, the link won't pop up in Lead Impact. And, which sucks because you're just wasting money.
And so you don't actually
so
need to
I know
question mark or ampersand sub ID equals at the end there.
I think it just does it for you. I think it just is smart enough to know that with this link right here, if it says A equals C equals and S1 equals, I think it just has an automatic append that works.
Okay.
So and now this might be differently, and keep in mind too, we're not using our tracking links here, and there's a difference. If we're using our tracking links, that information will still pass through to your tracking. I promise you that because I've done it. So I guess I could reach out to Lead Impact and ask them how they do it. It's just always worked for me.
So it works. That's all we need to know, right?
I guess I get what you're asking and why you're asking it. I just know that it works. So I just keep rolling.
And let me do something real quick, Steve. I noticed that one of our other coaches, Mason, is online, but he is not on with his panelist login. Let me just unmute him real quick and see if we can help him get on so he can also share, because I know he's always got something good to add. Just unmute him. Hey, Mason, can you hear us?
Hey, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. So I see you logged into the webinar. You're here, but you're logged in as an attendee. So I don't know if you can get in as a panelist.
I don't know.
And you should.
Do you have anything to add to this, Mason?
We can make Mason a panelist. Give me a second.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Or an organizer if you're doing that. Right.
Actually, I'm just trying that, but he's on the phone. Hang on a sec. He might have to use his internet connection.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Mason, are you just on the phone, or are you also connected?
Yeah, I have to be on the phone right now. My connection's not that great at the moment.
Are you connected to the webinar, or just using the phone?
Mm-hmm.
Are you connected to the webinar?
I'm on the webinar as well. Yeah.
Well, let's do this, Mason. Since you're on the phone, then you can mute yourself on your side. I'm going to leave you unmuted so you can jump in.
Yeah. I'll just mute the phone. That's fine.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, for some reason I cannot give him a promotion. It seems odd.
Yeah, I tried that too, but it's okay.
Work harder, Mason.
I'm just going to leave him unmuted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened.
All right, so let's get back to it. With Lead Impact, the keyword suggestion tool is right here. Now, here you can get high volume keywords, same kind of as traffic vans. You can get low competition keywords. You can look things up here. It gives you potential volume. You can search by category. You can search by, let's do, just do credit for jobs. It's going to pull up low competition keywords. So what this means is there's not going to be a lot of people bidding on these keywords. So this is really cool because I can say, all right, I have a big list of keywords that I want to check out. And if there's not a lot of people bidding on these, but there is some traffic, well, if you can buy low and get a lot of traffic, what do you think is going to happen? It could equal very quick success. High volume keywords is good because sometimes you're just looking to acquire data, or you just want to make sure that, if you have a great angle and you want to make sure there's enough traffic for that keyword or that URL, it's going to tell you. So I tend to like the Lead Impact tool a little bit better than the traffic vans, just because it gives you a little bit of a difference in terms of what you can pull, not just a little green bar, with this is how much traffic we have for this keyword or URL.
So Steve, I'm gonna, sorry, I know I keep interrupting you, but I love this topic and I always have a lot of questions about it. So here's my question. The tools are a little bit different, right? On Lead Impact, you're getting different types of suggestions.
Yes.
Traffic vans. Now I know that, what I know about PPV is the way it works is through toolbars or certain software, basically adware, and that, Lead Impact uses something different than traffic vans. And so here's my question to you. Is volume for a certain keyword or URL on traffic vans indicative of volume on Lead Impact for the most part?
sometimes, but no, I mean, so you have to realize that, and we've mentioned this in previous forum posts, but traffic based on a keyword for lead impact and traffic based on a keyword for traffic advance can be two totally different things, because the people that download a toolbar or free music or whatever they do to get this, to agree to put this adware on their computer so that people like us can go bid on their traffic, it's just totally different. You could have a bunch of 18 to 20-year-olds for one, or you could have some, I mean, you just never know. So you can't just pair them together like that. Now, you can assume that like the keyword credit is going to have traffic on both. You can assume your bigger keyword is going to work on both. You can assume, you can assume a few things like that. But really the best way to find out, Leanne, is just to test. You just have to say, okay, I'll throw $10 at it one day and see how it does, And sometimes you're going to be blown away with the results, and sometimes you're like, that's just what I thought. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. So here, if well, let's just put in a keyword just to show you credit, right? We said that. We'll do low competition. Boom. So I can select all keywords by this, deselect. I can add these, let's just say, yeah, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. So we'll just add these selected words to this landing page, right? Or I can even export them, which is also kind of cool. See how I just added them right here. So I can keep searching. I got my box up, but I'm also adding. So with lead impact, and traffic advance, you could just start building your campaign, even if you haven't done any research yet. You just simply go in here and it's going to build for you. So there's no reason to be afraid. If you don't have tools or if you don't know, just start reading. You can figure this stuff out, guys. It's not rocket science. It's just, it's analytical and you just have to take action. I heard people on the forum asking for tools the other day, and it blows me away every time, because if you log into most of these ad network platforms, they have built-in tools. And they may not be the greatest. They may not be the ones that, where it optimizes for you and makes you all this money, But most good marketers don't want, tools that optimize for you. They want to optimize for themselves. That's kind of what distinguishes them as a marketer. So anyway, just a little, not rant, but So we're going to close that. We have our four here. So we're going to save and continue. All right. We're almost done with this one. Boom. Setup is complete. Here's our landing page. Yes. Active. Boom. All right. So we can add another landing page to this campaign. We can do all sorts of different things, right? So remember I told you I had 1.1. Now I'm going to do 1.2. And here's the URL. Here's the category, countries, So if I want to target, if I have two variations of two landing pages, right? So that's 4 campaigns. Let's say with one, I want to target the US by itself. And then with the other, I just want to target Canada. Well, then I can set up 8 campaigns, right? And just by continuing on doing this, 1 campaign and 8 creatives within that campaign, and I'm going to get different data from each one. So, be creative. This is a good way to split test against other things right here, right? But just don't overdo it. That's the key. All right. So in a nutshell, that's lead impact. That's traffic advance. Every system is different. I think once you're in these and once you've set up 2 or 3 campaigns, you're good. It's just a matter of taking the time to do the case study. You have to just step up and just do it. Think of some ideas. Think of, with PPV for me, it's, I think of websites that people go to, for whatever I'm trying to promote, and that's what I use. So, you can be you can target very well, with PPV, and that's one of the reasons why I like to use it so much. So one of the things Leanne asked me to speak about as well was other places besides traffic advance and lead impact, where you can send PPV traffic. So a really good one is more for contextual links is 50 on red. In fact, I'll go to their page. These guys have grown by leaps and bounds. These guys have grown by leaps and bounds over the past year or two. I remember when they started a couple years ago, and I mean they've blown up. So they're big. They have good traffic for a lot of different things. This is another thing, what we talked about in previous webinars, reach out to your affiliate managers, ask them what they know about these traffic sources. If they say, hey, Steve, we have a new offer that just came out. It's exclusive to our network. We'll say, okay, well, what traffic platforms work? I have an account with, 50 Red. Do you think that'll work? Or, what have you seen across the board from some of your other publishers? Where is this working? And then you kind of go in and say, okay, well, 50 Red, they're good with diet and they're good with dating. And, you start to build these internal lists in your head where, okay, I know that if they're telling me that this offer works for contextual, I know 50 Red's a contextual network and it works well with this vertical. And we got a pretty good match starting up, right? So, Traffic Vance is, I've found it pretty good for most things. Lead Impact is good for, games, dating, stuff like that. And this is all stuff that you need to test and find out for yourselves as well. But these are the rumors, quote unquote. You couldn't see my fingers doing the quotes, but I did. So that's one. Direct CPV is another one, where you can kind of go in and, let me actually pull Direct CP up. So here's Direct CPV. Actually, I think I even have an account here. See if I can remember it. Nope. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I have an account there, but I just don't have it on me. Direct CPV is another one. It's very similar setup as Lead Impact. With all these things, guys, you've got to just get in there and start playing with it. You have to want to do it. You can't just say, oh, I know I should do this, but I'm scared because I don't want to make a mistake and I don't want to lose, all this money and this and that. You can't. I'll tell you one thing right now. Scared money will never make money. And until you get that through, you got to get that theory down. Like you can't be scared once you deposit this money to lose it. You have to simply be able to key in on the data that you get and key on what you learn from what what campaigns you've run. And that makes you better moving forward. So, think of it like spending money on an education. You spend money on a forum, right? Where you spend money on all these gurus, all these guys that I'm going to show you how to, do this crazy pipeline dream. Spend money on yourself, educate yourself, put money into these sites, teach yourself, and you're going to be amazed at how much you can teach yourself just by doing things. And, that's why you hear Leanne and Russell and me and Mason and all the people, coaches in the forum, tell you, like, action is the best form of education. It really is. And not only do you start to make money and get more confidence as you do that, you're learning. You learn every day you're doing something, and this is very applicable to making money. So that's really, from a campaign setup, and what ad networks, I use for contextually. And I think, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Do you have any questions, or do you want to kind of take questions at the end?
No, I thought that was amazing. Sorry. But yeah, Mason's just jumping out, and I was just going to say I want to call Mason out. So yeah, Mason, what do you got?
Yeah, I was just gonna say just a couple of things. I'm sorry if you said this before, but usually in like Traffic Vance, I believe Lead Impact has it as well. Because sometimes you can put your link in there wrong, and then like you said, you can just spend money and the links actually are not working correctly. So always, hit the test link thing to make sure that it works. That's one thing, because I've actually spent hundreds of dollars on dead links before. And then another thing would be, direct CPV. I would recommend people, if you're new to this, maybe start with that. It's a lot of times I've had a higher percentage of campaigns be profitable in the beginning on direct CPV for some reason. And the amount of money that you have to put in to get started, it's like $25 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's like $100 now. Yeah, you're right about that.
You can't.
But this is how I started with PPV, Mason. Is right here at Direct CPV.
Yeah, me too.
I did my first 10 campaigns on
as much. But the risk is lower, and the traffic's a little slower because there's not as much of it. The Traffic Vance, sometimes traffic comes really hard and really fast. Direct direct CPV is a little slower. The conversion rates are usually pretty good because it's a full page ad, stuff like that. So it's a good place to start.
And Mason, what verticals have you done on direct CPV?
Oh, everything, dating, credit reports. I mean, all the same stuff. I mean, back in the day, I just direct link stuff, which your success rate's a little lower when you do that, but the setup's faster as well. So, you know, if you don't want to mess with a landing page, direct CPV, sometimes doing a direct link on some offers that work with contextual traffic from your network. Sometimes they'll have a contextual landing page for you already. And, you know, some of the more niche ones, you know, your success rate is going to be higher. And of course, your traffic volume is lower, but it's an easy way to sort of break even or make a little bit of money and kind of learn this system. And then take, you know, if something works, take it over to Traffic Vance and try it out over there. That's one way to scale, but, you know, you can't always assume that if it works on one, that it'll work on the others. But it's, you know, 75% of the time, maybe, I would say.
Yeah. I think that's right, because I mean, you can't always assume, because there's times where it won't, but a lot of times it does.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
and the other thing about Traffic Vance is, you know, it's $1,000 just to start, but after that, it's a minimum $500 deposit. So,
yep.
You know, when you're burning through Traffic Vance, you got to be ready to roll. You know, you can't just say, I have $1,000, let's go to Traffic Vance. You have $1,000, that's great. You either better be getting paid quickly for your network, and your campaign better be working when you start to roll. Otherwise, you're going to start going through money quick. So,
yeah,
good advice, man. Mason, that's really good advice starting here, I think.
Because they're going to want to talk to you at Traffic Vance too. And if you sound like you don't know what you're doing, then they're
going to reject you in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So something else I do, and I use this, there's other ways to use this, but it's a pop-up previewer. So especially when you direct link, you see it says Traffic Vance, you got media traffic, lead impact, and direct CPV right here. So I put our link that we were kind of testing with, right? And now this is what it would look like in Traffic Vance. So this is every time it pops up, this is what my page is going to show. Right? Here's lead impact. Same size usually, actually. It's a little smaller. But
and
now here's the difference with
this kind of tool that Steve's using. Sorry, Steve. This is a paid tool, I think, but they have this for free on the web.
Yeah.
But you just got to Google search for it.
I find everything using Google. Here's direct CPV. That's the key. And this is why direct CPV does so well. Now, it's just not as strong with traffic. That's really the only bad thing about direct CPV in terms of numbers, I mean. So, I like the fact.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say something about direct CPV, something that I've heard, and and I've noticed it happening too. And this is a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but is it true that they change the feeds after a while in direct CPV and show some different feeds after you've been running the campaign for a while?
I don't know. I've heard that, but I haven't hung around long enough to know. You know, I'll tell you this: if a company's been in business long enough, then they probably aren't doing the shady things. I mean, they might have done it for a little while. Why would somebody say something like that unless it's true, right? But yeah, and that is shady. I mean, look, people are, I don't know. I just stay away from conspiracy theories until I see it happen to me.
Yeah. I just want
to
know
what I mean? Like, otherwise, it's just going to drive me nuts.
Sometimes. Yeah.
But what do you mean by different feeds, Mason?
One shady thing that an ad network can do is give you the good feeds beginning to sort of ROI bait you into it, and then change it over to the crappy ones.
You mean like the sources, or
just the feeds?
Users.
I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, the user base, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay, now I understand.
Right.
Got it. Like
and that's why
don't worry about that though.
I'll also tell you this with Traffic Vance: the more money you spend, the better the feed you get.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just something to be aware of. Sometimes, if you're getting a good ROI in the beginning and then all of a sudden you go 5 days and don't get any conversions, you might want to talk to your rep about traffic quality. Maybe, sometimes there's something they can do about that. Not always, but.
Well, the best thing about it is too, about just saying something is it says, hey, look, I'm on top of this. You know, my
Right,
traffic was killing it for 3 days straight, and all of a sudden for 4 days straight, I haven't had a single conversion. You know, don't tell me there's nothing you're not doing on your end, because it just doesn't work like that. You know,
Right.
You know, if you can go back and show people that you're on top of, you know, your traffic, they're going to say, okay, we can't mess with this guy. So hopefully.
Yeah. So it's something to keep in mind, but don't worry about it though.
So what I'll do now, Steve, if you're done with the PPV portion, I want to jump into mobile and take a little step back and show a few things just to make sure that everyone's on the same page here. So I will grab the screen. Okay, so and what I've got open is InMobi, and I've got OfferMobi open as well. I've got an offer and OfferMobi open. And actually, as Steve was talking in the beginning, I was emailing back and forth with my affiliate manager because I haven't promoted anything on OfferMobi in a few months, so they actually blocked my account. So I tried to log on to prepare, and I was like, oh no, that's not good. So yeah, anyway, so I got that taken care of, obviously. But what I wanted to show today was basically what Steve showed, but on mobile. And just using one ad network, then we'll talk about some other options, just like we did with PPV. But I want to talk real quick. I just want to kind of step back, going off of Steve's presentation, and first of all, remind you of the way this flows, because I think when you're brand new, it can get kind of confusing. Like this link goes here, that goes here. I have like 5 different logins. You know, what is this? What is that? So just real quick, I want to step back and show you how that works. And then I want to show you how links work. And that's going to be helping you get into next week's topic on tracking. But I just want to give you kind of a preview of it. So starting out, I'm just going to draw on my screen here. And the flow, just to get it in your head again so that you understand where this is at. Because right now, today, what we're talking about is the ad network, right? So this is where you're logging into your ad network and you're actually putting in your links. And so let's talk about each of these things, because when you're putting the link into the ad network, where is that link coming from and where is it going, all right? And this is, you know, again, going back to the basics, but I just want to make sure that everyone is on the same page here. So you've got your ad network, you've got your link in the ad network. Where did that come from? That link came from the affiliate network, okay? The affiliate network. And the affiliate network gives you a link that is tracked, right? And we'll talk about how it tracks when we go into OfferMobi. But it has some tracking, and that link goes into the ad network. Right? What happens when the link gets placed in the ad network and the ad goes live? It gets placed on a web page, or in case of PPV, it pops up, but a person sees it, right? Some end user sees it, unless we're talking about fraud, which we'll get into towards the last weeks of the course. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to say that a person sees the ad, and if they click on it, it goes through the tracking, right? Through the tracking of the affiliate network. And then it goes to the advertiser. Okay, the advertiser, that's the person that makes the sales. Again, advertiser pays the affiliate network pays you, and you pay the ad network, and everybody is happy. Okay, ad network pays the publisher, right? If they have publishers. So I just want to get very clear that this link that we're putting, when we're doing stuff on the ad network, we're really working closely with whatever description we have on the affiliate network. Are we allowed to direct link or not, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit more next week, and when we show you our case studies for pay-per-view, should you direct link or not? Do they allow certain countries versus others, right? And you can select that on certain ad networks, on most ad networks. In the case of mobile, are there certain carriers that you should target, AT&T or Sprint or prepaid carriers like Boost Mobile? And this is in the U.S. I'm talking. I don't know those things offhand for overseas, but this is really it. That's my son in the background screaming. This is really it. This link is what tracks everything for you. Okay, and again, next week we're going to talk about how to tie in tracking software, which basically goes between the affiliate network link and the ad network, right? So here would be your tracking link instead, and your tracking software is going to do a lot of magic. It's going to show you day parting. It's going to show you week parting. It's going to show you a lot of data that's going to help you optimize. All right. So I just wanted to bring that up. And now let me exit out of that. And I do see a question in here real quick, maybe before we go into mobile. So Jim's asking, why would a company like TrafficVance or DirectCPV, for example, switch you to lower quality traffic stream? Do they make more money when you don't convert? So why would they do that? They have a lot, they have a large user base. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, they have a lot of traffic. They have a lot of traffic, and you want to get paid for all your traffic, right? So you basically pawn off some people to certain, and they should mix it. That's how it should work. It should just be a combination. But they also have, it's kind of like, when you email, you have your clickers and you have your delivers, those are your money files. Like, it's the same thing with this. Like, you have users who have the software and they can see this on their end, who do a lot of clicking on pop-ups and do a lot of clicking on text links, and they know that. So when they open those doors up to you, that makes you like their traffic more. So they might start you off with that and then kind of trickle you into the lower stream, or I don't know the reasons. So, yeah, but they the key is they want to make sure they're getting paid for all the traffic. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean that's right. They just want to sell it, and so some traffic, this happens on mobile too a lot, because one thing that happens on mobile, and it's just the way that the mediation layers work, and we can talk about that on a different webinar, but basically the way their system works is they reward you for buying all the traffic, even the traffic that they know is terrible, by giving you more good traffic when you buy more crappy traffic. And for us, we would like to be able to split out the crappy traffic and pay less for it, because it doesn't convert as well, and they know that. But they price it all the same across the board. And so the more of the crappy traffic you buy, the more of the good traffic you buy, the more of the good traffic you get. And it's just a way of them rewarding you for buying all that other stuff, so they don't have as much remnant inventory, which means unsold inventory there in the system, because they want to sell everything. So if everybody's only buying this one chunk of good traffic, then they have all of this other traffic that goes unsold. And if it goes unsold, that actually costs them money, because they still have ad serving fees to serve the ads and everything like that. And so they just want to sell it all. But there's ways around that in mobile, and that's why Mob App Tracker and some of the other things that we're going to show next week give you the option to redirect traffic based off different rules and things like that, because those platforms are set up because that's the way that the system works, and it's a way that you can send different traffic to different places on your end without them even knowing about it necessarily, to help you monetize all of that traffic, even if it doesn't convert on the one offer that you're running. If you can get something for it and still buy it anyway, even at a loss for that one portion of it, then they're going to give you more of the good stuff and allowing you to actually make money. So it's kind of a weird thing, but yeah, I mean, it just comes down to them wanting to sell everything. That's it.
Cool. Thank you, guys. So I know you guys would have great answers, and Jim says thanks too. And Rolando, as to your question, I'm going to answer that towards the end, because I want to get to the mobile content, and then we can talk about that question. And so anyway, the next thing I want to talk about before I show you the mobile setup is how links work. Very, very basic how links work. If you don't already know, and I've pulled up an offer on OfferMobi. And just as an aside, I emailed my affiliate manager and I said, what's the best international offer right now? And he said, definitely Neo Mobile Italy. So I pulled it up for you, right? So if you're on OfferMobi and you want to run something, this is probably a good one to start with. And in here, and just so you know, every affiliate network, every CPA network uses a different system. OfferMobi uses, Mason, what is this called? Why did I forget? Has offers. There we go. It uses has offers. Yeah. So you're going to see that links with has offers all look similar. I just want to give you the basics of the link real quick, because again, it's going to be very applicable next week when we talk about tracking. First part is the link that the actual CPA network is using. And OfferMobi is using trackmobi.com. It's just whatever they purchased and decided to use. Sites like Neverblue will have several different ones, and that's just it. That's just what they have. This is right here. This is something specific that has offers. Aff_C, not sure what it means, doesn't matter. Now this is important. If you can see this question mark right here in the middle, that where my cursor is at right here, this question mark basically tells any link, okay, that's the end of the link. Now we're going to add some variables. That's what it says. We're going to add some variables now. We're going to send some variables. With has offers, it's got a variable called offer ID. Notice that 1643 it says here, that is the number of the offer. So what does that do? Well, when you place this link in the ad network and a user clicks on it, the first thing that happens is the offer ID goes through the has offer system on OfferMobi, and it says, which landing page should I pull up? And it pulls up landing page 1643, which is NeoMobile, this particular offer. Next part, see this ampersand right here, this and symbol, the one that goes over the 7 on your keyboard? The ampersand says, here's another variable, right? So when you start variables, it's a question mark. Ampersand says, here is another variable. And you can add another one too by putting another ampersand. In this case, it's aff ID equals 1833. That's my particular affiliate ID on OfferMobi. So what that says, that tells OfferMobi when it's clicked is, hey, let's pull up this landing page and we're going to track it to this affiliate. So if there's a conversion, we're going to pay affiliate number 1833. Okay, that's who we're going to pay. So that's the tracking. That's the tracking for the ad network. That's the tracking to make sure it goes to the right page. Now, there's a couple other things that we're going to add here, and because we're going to take this to InMobi in a second here. But I'm going to add a sub ID, okay? And I'm just going to put for myself, and I'm going to add a source as well. So for source, I'm going to put InMobi. For myself, I'm going to click Update, and see it's added ampersand source equals InMobi right here. And I'm also going to add an affiliate sub ID so that I can add some data to it possibly. And so I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3 here and update. And if I want, I can add more sub IDs, okay? So 2, 3, 4, right? And we'll update. So these are my options right here. When I run this particular link, okay, I'm going to see a click in my reporting in the affiliate network that shows the affiliate sub ID 1, 2, 3 and sub ID number 2, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what information do I want to put there? Well, as you're going to see in a moment, I can put information like which banner I'm using, okay, which banner converted for me, or what geographic location, right? There's a lot of things that I can do here, and I've got up to 5 sub IDs to do it with, okay, aff sub 1 and 2. And again, the question that I asked earlier on lead impact had to do with this, is on has offers, they use aff sub. On some networks, they use sub ID equals. On some trackers, it's C1 and C2 and C3 equals something. So that's where my question came from before. But I hope that's clear to anybody who's kind of new to this and saying, you know, what is all this crap, right? That's what it is. Okay, the ampersand just means here's another variable. Send this along with information. Okay, something else that we'll talk about next time. I just want to give you a preview of it because I know, you know, to learn something, you have to hear it about 7 times. Right, and I know that from teaching for several years. 7 times is the magic number of times you have to hear something. So I'm just giving you a preview of what's coming next week to give you a better idea of what we're doing now, and so that next week you're going to go, okay, I remember this. I remember talking about this. All right, and so this is going to be the tracking link. This is going to give information, and we're going to talk about even again adding in extra tracking that's going to give you more information. But let's take this link. I'm going to copy this already. And I'm going to go to InMobi, okay? And I just want to show you how to do a campaign setup on mobile. Mason's got a huge amount of experience on mobile as well. So Mason, anytime you need to interrupt me, please do. I'm just going to click on New Campaign. And what you're going to see is that there are a couple of things that you want to have ready. You want to have banners ready, okay? And I just grabbed banners from the ad network. They're in my downloads, okay? And you want to actually have, if you're going to do text ads, you want to have some pitch angles, okay? So you want to maybe hop on the forum and play some affiliate pong, some pitch pong, and say, or ads pong for text ads. And you're going to say, well, you know, here's how I'm going to approach this. Give me some other ideas. And then you can start split testing, all right? So, and finally, you want to have that link that I just copied. So same thing goes here. Start with a campaign name, okay? I'm just going to say NeoMobile, okay, Italy. And I'm going to put OfferMobi. And I'm actually going to put the number, okay, just because I like to put that information in there, 1643. Okay, 1643. That way it's easy for me to go back to OfferMobi. I know which affiliate network or which CPA network to go back to. I know what I'm running and so on. I'm going to take a quick peek here and make sure that that there's no things that I should avoid. And it says all handsets and there's specific carriers. So this is important on mobile. On mobile, there's just specific types of targeting that you can do. Okay, and no Wi-Fi is important. All right, so let's go back here. Start date and end date on the campaigns. Start date should be today or tomorrow usually, unless you know that you want to start it in 2 days or whatnot. End date should be usually blank because I will pause a campaign if it's not doing well. I don't want the campaign to stop on its own. So usually what I'll do is just jump ahead a year or two or a month or two, and I'll do that, and then I can adjust this later. This just shows you, how many funds we have in the account, and we can dedicate a specific budget to this. If I say I only want to, spend $100 testing this, I can put that in here, or I can leave it blank, right? That's, if I want to do that. And then again, I would have to come and adjust this if I ran out of funds. So I'm just going to leave this blank. And daily spend, the minimum here on InMobi is $10. And I'm just going to put that because starting out, I want to see if I've got a chance here. All right. So we're going to go save and create ad group. Oh, and it is required. So I'm just going to do funds from account and set the daily budget here. Okay. So same thing I was saying. Okay. I can save this for later, right? Or save it and stay on this page. Or I can save and create the ad group. And so that's the next step. Now, we've just put basic info, and now we're going to set up the ad group. And you're going to see that we're going to have the ad type that we want to put, a call to action. We're going to have start and end dates again for this particular, for the ad groups. We're going to have a name, tracking, and then the actual URL. If you have apps inside InMobi, you can actually promote your apps. What we're going to do is either promote content or generate leads. Okay, either way, the things you get here are the same thing. Generator awareness is going to be more for businesses who just want to get their name out there. They're not looking to do performance marketing. They just want to have, awareness. So promoting content could be pretty much anything. Generating leads can be pretty much anything. I'll just pick generating leads because that's really what I'm doing with that link. And the call to action, we've got URL, SMS, or a phone call. Just as an aside, if you do pay-per-call, I do not recommend direct linking on mobile because you're gonna have a really angry advertiser if you do that. They're gonna be paying for a lot of calls that aren't completing. Okay, pocket calls and things like that. So you always want to do URL, even if you're doing a pay-per-call offer. You want to lead from a URL to the number, and you can add a site in here. I added a sample site earlier. I'm going to add a new site now, and I'm going to call it NeoMobile from OfferMobi. And I'm going to put the tracking URL in here, okay? And we're going to adjust, I'm going to take off the AF information because we're not going to use that yet. Okay, but I do want the source. Okay, and there's a little thing about 13 years of age. We're not targeting 13-year-olds, definitely not with NeoMobile. And I'm going to register the site. Okay, next part, I can, again, put a start date and end date. I don't want to end this, so I'm going to leave this blank. I want to name the ad group, so I'm going to name it just NeoMobile Ad Group 1. Okay, and now you've got some tracking options. Because we're going to actually track later on via MobAF Tracker for our mobile stuff, we're just going to say none. Okay, if we do InMobi Analytics, then they're going to add some things. They're going to give some options, and I hope this doesn't. Earlier when I was testing this, it crashed my my Safari. So there we go. So you can register with them and play with that, and that can work. That can be really powerful tracking because then you get your data right on the ad network, and you can adjust things on the ad network. In this case, we're going to do none because we're going to do it separately. Okay. And let's just see what happens when we do others. Okay, tracking URL. So actually, let's do that. We're going to put our tracking URL here, And it's actually the same as our landing page URL for now. Okay, we can even take that out. All right, so here's our tracking URL. And again, here's where you would put your actual tracking URL in the next session. So I'm going to hit continue here. And finally, I've got my targeting. After my targeting, we're going to have 2 more steps actually, but we're going to go to targeting, and I don't have any presets, but I want to select the country. And again, this is New Mobile Italy, so I want to select Italy. Okay, and so I'm going to find Italy from the drop-down box here. I'm just going to search for it and select it. Okay, and now we've got some options, right? All states, all carriers, and we can customize this. So here's what we're going to do. Now we know what's allowed. We've got TIM, VODA, and H3G. So we're just going to select those. TIM, VODA, and I don't see the other one, H3G. Yep, so we're going to leave it at that, TIM and VODA. We know we don't want Wi-Fi and these other ones, probably not. All right, and there's other targeting options. These are great for local businesses. These are great for local offers. If you're really, hyper targeting like Amazon Local or some of those other offers. We're not doing that. We're just doing by carrier, by country. And finally, all devices are allowed. We read that before. Later on, you can select specific handsets or types of devices because you're going to learn what's doing well and what isn't through the tracking, okay? But we're going to leave it at all devices now. We're going to continue. Next step is going to be to set the bid and the daily limit, okay? Minimum is 5 cents. Now, I don't know how much traffic this is going to get me, but I can start at 5 cents or I can start at 6 cents and see how it does, okay? If I want to get a lot of traffic starting out, I might just bid a little higher and just see what happens. This might be enough. It might not be, right? It might be way too low and I might not get any traffic, but I can adjust this as I go. And finally, a daily limit again on this particular creative. And if I'm going to be split testing, then I'm going to put 5 on this one and 5 on the other one, okay? Because I want to find out. Now, just as an aside, there's a lot of traffic on mobile in most cases, especially when you're not hyper targeting. And if I put 5 here, it might end up spending 10 or 15, especially on the first day until the ad network rep, ramps it down for you. So just be aware of that. There's usually an overspend in mobile when you have really low limits like this. Okay, so just be aware of that. We're going to save this, add the creative. And the creative is where we're going to add our banner. Whoops. Okay, so minimum is 10. So we'll probably set the whole thing to 20. All right, so now there's some options here. We can add a 38 by 38 PNG tile, okay, next to the text ads. And you can add your text ad here. You can name it and put the ad text here, okay? Or you can have banner ads, and they show you all the different sizes. And what I like about this is I can actually add a bunch of files at once. So I'm going to go right to my downloads and go to the files that I pulled up, and I'm going to select all of these, okay? These are all for this particular offer. And what I did on OfferMobi is I just clicked on download all. It downloaded a zip. My system automatically unzipped it, and and I got all this stuff. Now, I actually pulled this up to show you what all these look like, because there's a bunch. And what I wanted to say is when you're promoting something, and obviously it gets clearer as I get to the bigger banners, when you're promoting something and it's in a different language that you don't speak, that it's going to stop a lot of affiliates from promoting it because you're like, I don't know what it says. But you can have text ads. Just copy what this says. Just copy exactly what this says to start. And later on, you can hire someone on Craigslist who speaks Italian and tell them, hey, translate this for me into Italian. Here's what I want to say, right? Or you can ask the affiliate network to talk to the advertiser and give you some ad copy that they like that's worked for them, right? So a lot of places you can get this stuff and you can run it. But basically, these are all the different creatives that we've got. I wouldn't actually run all of these at once. I just loaded them up to show you. You don't actually want to load everything like that up because it's too much. Unless you're going to run a good amount of traffic, you're not going to get enough data with this. Okay, so you really want to start with just a few, maybe one set in each one. Like I might X out of all these other ones and just keep one set here. And then we can track the creative performance. And so here we go. We've got the tracking code, right? And we could actually add more stuff. So we can add an ampersand and add a few more things here. So we can add our AF sub, right? And here's what we had right here. We'd actually need to go and change this in the other place. I thought I already updated it, but it kept the AF sub. But I would add the AF sub here, or in this case, since they're taken already, I can have AF sub 3 equals, and then put, you know, the name of the creative, like VITA DAVIP V3, and then I know what particular banner I'm running here. Okay, so I'm going to save the creatives. And for whatever reason, it's not working for me. Let me undo this and see if it. Oh, I see. I didn't upload them. There we go. Okay, so we can actually see them here. All right, so that's nice and quick. And we'll add the tracking again. And again, I wouldn't run all of these at once. I would just pick one set to run for each set of creatives, right? So for each ad group, you can add different creatives. I would have separate tracking for each of these so that I know which one actually performs well for me and which one doesn't, and I can cut it off. If I just put all of them into one set, I'm not really going to know what's doing better. It's not worth it to do that because, again, I don't know what's working and what isn't. Option 3, I guess, is put everything in there, and if it works, start splitting out the banners and seeing what goes better. So Rolando's asking, what's different in InMobi if we do a new campaign or a quick campaign? I'll show that in a minute, and we'll see what that looks like. So anyway, that's that. We're going to save the creatives. And that's pretty much it for the campaign. Now I've got, it's pending approval. It always pends approval before you do it. I'm actually going to make sure that it's paused because next week I want to show you how to put in the tracking. So I'm going to come back to the campaign ad groups, oops, go to campaigns, and I'm going to actually pause this, make sure it doesn't run. And then we'll edit it next week. So quick campaign, if we click on that, we can just fill in everything on one page. That's really the big difference. Okay, so everything's on one page. It doesn't walk you through a wizard. So hopefully that answers your question, Rolando. It answers mine. I actually didn't even notice that button. So that's how to set up a campaign in mobile. Very, very simple. And there are different ad networks, right? The different ad networks might look different, but it's all basically the same things. You have the basic info, the stuff that you name it. You have the tracking link. You have the ad groups, and you have the creatives, and you have the targeting and the bid, and that's it. And they put it in different order, and it looks different, but it's all the same thing. If you know what you want to do, you can figure it out. They pretty much walk you through it because they want you to spend money there. A couple of other things, we recommended some other networks for PPV. In terms of other networks for mobile, there's JumpTap, which is good for US stuff. Whoops, and I should have put .com. There we go. So there's JumpTap.com. There is AirPush, which is having some slow traffic right now, so I don't recommend them right at the moment, but AirPush is a good option for games once they get their stuff back together. Oops, airpush.com. And Mason, I don't know if you want to jump out and recommend some other good mobile ad networks that are working right now. Oops, and I think Mason just lost his audio. So some other ones. I mean, we actually, I believe on the forum, we added a list of something like 400 mobile ad networks. I believe that's it. So, and if we don't have that, we'll add it. But there are literally so many, and really all you need to do if you want to find out more is mobile ad network. And here we go, list of mobile advertising networks, right? You can go through that and find it. And I'll tell you what, so here's, iAds is the iPhone stuff. It's the Apple version, really expensive, and it's more for brands, so not really for us. There's Millennial Media. Some of these will require insertion order, some of them won't. What else? I mean, there's some new ones that I haven't seen before. Mojiva I've used before. Velti is probably going to require an insertion order. Adphonic is a good one for European stuff. And why did I show you InMobi? I guess, right? We should say that because there's so many of them. Why did I show you InMobi? Well, because I was told to. That's a funny thing to say, but we got advice, just like we got advice for which offers to run from our affiliate managers, and we taught you to do that. We did the same thing for ad networks. Said what's working where. They know where people are running stuff. They're running things, and they know what's working. And sometimes they tell you even more information. Sometimes they say, target only this carrier. That's the only one that really converts for this, right? So listen to your affiliate manager. Make sure they know what they're talking about, but listen to your affiliate manager because they're going to know in the least what's working, and you can get started with something that's actually got some potential that other people are making it happen with. All right, so that's pretty much it for what I wanted to share with you on mobile. There is one more question in the queue, but before we get to that, I want to just bring out the, and let me unmute Mason again now that he's back. Mason, you're unmuted on this end, so you can unmute yourself. But I just wanted to get to the other coaches and see what else they wanted to add to this.
I'll be first. When it comes to mobile, you've said it all. You're not going to get anything else out of me.
Mason, what do you got? And Mason is still, oh, here we go. You're unmuted.
I think I hear something.
Can you hear me?
Oh, your connection is a bit slow, Mason. Try again. Let's see if we can.
Mason's living the good life right now. He's traveling in the Southwest. I know.
Yeah.
Wish I was where he was.
So, well, let's continue our conversation.
There he is.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, go ahead, Mason.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, well, you're good. You're loud and clear now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, there's a lot more to mobile in terms of, I mean, she went over some of it, but we'll get more into that.
Oh, and unfortunately, Mason, your
I think the desert swallowed him up.
So I don't know if we're going to be able to really get everything you're saying without.
We talked about the tracking and the different things we can track in there and how to use that data.
Yeah, you may just want to meet him.
Yeah.
But that was a good overview. I think you guys have. Oh well.
So Mason, I've just muted you, and I apologize for that. You're coming in really broken up, and I think maybe if later on when you're relaxing somewhere, you can actually just kind of post some of those comments to the thread that we have in the forum. It's really hard to understand with all the breaking up of the call. But Steve, let's get into a little bit of a conversation about some of the things in the queue here, and. Rolando's got pretty much the same question for mobile and PPV, which I really love. And basically he's asking, what's the best offer to promote on PPV? What's the best niche basically to promote on PPV, and what's the best what are the best offers to promote on mobile. And so what I'm going to say, Rolando, is exactly what we said in the first few modules when we talked, and I think this was the second module about how to pick an offer, is talk to your affiliate manager. That's the best way, is, maybe have a niche in mind that you're interested in working on. And we've got a lot of topics in the forum about, how to pick the right niche for you, the right vertical, what you're interested in. But also talk to your affiliate manager. They have that information. They know what's going well. They know where you should promote it. You can say, I have PPV traffic. What's working well for people who are running PPV for you, and they will let you know.
Yeah, and definitely to add on to that, I that's always been my advice as well. Rolando, you have to think of it like this too. I mean, we could tell you an offer that's going to work, and then you're going to go run it. And then what happens if it doesn't work? You're going to say, oh, well, they told me it was going to work and it didn't work. Like, this game does not work like that. You can say, hey, what's been working for you lately with this? And, and I'll tell you, like I said earlier, Think Credit Reports does really well with PPV. You definitely have to get permission. The smaller lead gen stuff with PPV does better. The shorter form submits do well with PPV. The less action, the less information, the less, no credit cards is going to do better with PPV and pretty much anything, if you have a good target. So, look at an offer, decide if you like that offer and if you like that vertical, and then make a list of those offers like that. Make a list of like 10 to 20 offers, and then go to your affiliate manager that where you pulled the offers from and say, okay, so these are the traffic types I'm thinking about pushing towards these offers. What do you think? And when you come with such a direct question like that, even if they don't know it, they're going to find out for you, because you're basically saying, okay, here's 10 offers. These are the sources I want to push to. They should know a couple out of the gate right away, right? But some they're probably going to say, I don't know. I'll have to look back at the numbers, because the affiliate managers have the ability to go into their tracking platform for the network and look over the numbers for the past year. They can say, okay, here's the offer. Here's how long we've ran it. Here are the traffic sources that have come into it, and here's what they've done, right? So that's good information. That's good intel. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you, because they could have had a really cool angle. They could have had a really clever angle with this, and that totally changes the game again. So these questions of what works well, what offers work well with this source, and, becoming a marketer isn't just saying, hey, what's doing well. You got to get out there and just try it, bud. You got to. And if you don't, and you just keep on depending on like other people and what they say, man, you're going to be dead in the water at the end of the day. You might have a couple campaigns that work based on what people tell you, but you got to learn how to be creative and think for yourself. You got to learn how to look at an offer and say, you know what? This offer would probably do really well with contextual, text pop-ups, and that's just, I can say it because I've been doing this for 6 or 7 years now. I've been doing this for a while, and I get that you guys are new to this, but I'm telling you how I got to this level. Like, you can't just get to this level overnight. You're not going to just make a couple $100,000 next week because you have a hot offer. It doesn't work like that, man. You have to learn. You have to get in and put the time in. You have to get in and figure out your systems. My system is totally different than anyone else's. Russell and I are getting ready to do a joint venture together here, and we're excited about it. But I'm excited to see kind of what he does, and I'm sure he's excited to kind of see what I do. And and you learn with marketers doing stuff like that. Pick up the good, throw away the bad, and that's really that's how we do it in marketing. That's optimizing.
Yeah, and I want to give a kind of a personal story with that to help you guys get out of your comfort zone, because if you're not going out there and putting stuff in, it's just it's beyond your comfort zone, and all it takes is doing it once and it becomes part of your comfort zone. But I'll give you an example with mobile. When we were all really new to mobile, because mobile marketing was brand new, and this is maybe 3 years ago or so. This is back when OfferMobi was like the only mobile CPA network out there, and it had just started. And actually I was working with Mason at the time, and we were trying out different traffic sources and trying different campaigns. And I set out to do a case study, and I said, what? There's this different ad network. None of us has ever tried it. We just kind of found it. And I just took a chance and I jumped on it, right? And we're talking about, why we have different ad networks. Well, don't be afraid to try different things, because in that case, it paid off for me, right? I could have gone in there, obviously, and it could have completely failed. But I went in, I picked a completely obscure offer that no one ran, no one suggested it, no one recommended it because no one ran it. It was in a different language. Nobody knew what it was. I just took the banners from the network and I ran it on a brand new ad network that no one had from our group had ever used before. And I actually was profitable right out of the gate. That rarely happens, but my ROI was huge. I got over a 200% ROI. Which is just humongous. I mean, it really is. It's a lot. And so don't be afraid to try things out. Is everything going to work out the gate? Probably not. But the best teacher is experience. You're going to get the best questions for us. And, you know, the good thing is we're on the forum. And some of you have direct email access to us. So you're going to email us and say, here's what I tried. And we're going to look at it and say, tweak it just a little bit like this, you know, change your angle a little bit like this, change your pitch a little bit like this, and watch what happens, right? And so that's what we're looking for here. That's why we showed you how easy it really is to set up on the ad network. It's nothing. It's like a wizard. It walks you through it, right? It's easier than some things you do at home off the internet. But that's all it is, right? That's all it is. And so we've gone about an hour and 35 minutes. So I don't want to take it too much longer. I'm not seeing any more questions popping into the queue. You're always welcome to ask more questions in the thread in the forum, because we're going to get this posted in the next 2 or 3 days here. And I just want to give Steve a chance to give some closing comments.
I feel like I just did. It was like my motivational hoorah speech. Like, you know, I mean, like you said, Leanne, this, you know, don't make this harder than it is, guys. You know, don't scare yourself out of this. You know, it's really just do it. You know, action, man, you're going to be surprised at how much easier it is. And you're going to hit bumps in the road. But like Leanne said, that's what you have the forum for. When you hit that bump, I can't wait to start seeing questions like, hey, I'm in this section of traffic advance and I've already done this and here's my traffic. What should I optimize? You know, like questions like that. That's what I want to help. You know, I'll help people think and I'll help people like learn how to like try to think creatively. But to give people stuff, like to me, I'm not helping you if I do that. You know, it's just not, that's just not how it works. So, you know,
and it's
more power,
you know, right. It's a two-way street because it's so exciting to see someone and the way someone thinks. You know, someone sets up a campaign and you look at it and you're like, oh my God, that is so cool. I would just tweak this,
right.
You know?
And you might see that, but I might not. And then, and that's kind of what helps with forums is, you know, you're going to have people that see things that you can't see. You know, you're going to have people that have a different view on it and that have a different idea on it. And they might give you something that you only take a little part of, but that little part could be the difference between $1,000 and $10,000. Like, you just never know. So.
Yeah. I love how you think, because you know, I would say that between $1 and $10, like $10,000 and $100,000.
No,
so,
I think big.
All right, guys. So thank you to those of you who are here and actively asking questions. Thank you to the organizers who are here. You know, to the coaches, to Steve, also to Mason, who unfortunately dropped off. I guess traveling, you don't always get good signal. And I just want to also thank Rick, who is not on the forum, but he is our audio video guy, and he does an amazing job recording these for you and making them stream well. And so I just want to thank Rick, and I want to hear him say thanks because he has the best radio voice. So we'll end with his thank you.
Oh, and thankfully I just remembered to gargle. That's very kind of you, Leanne. And for what it's worth, you guys out there, Leanne is ranked very highly in the world of how to teach people to be successful in internet marketing. Steve and Leanne do wonderful work. Thanks so much, guys, for mentioning my name.
Absolutely, Rick. All right, so yeah, bye everyone. See you next week. See you on the forum.